So, morning, Barbara.
Good morning.
So,
How are you doing?
doing really well. You were in my class a number of years ago. You're actually one of my first classes of students, and you were able to get some big wins in your career. You moved to a job that had a growth path. You're one of those people who takes initiative and rolls up her sleeves and gets things done, and you moved to a job that fit that part of you. And it also came with a pretty big salary bump. It was great to see that a couple of years ago. But what's been great is over the last couple of years, you've actually come back for my profile building program and some coaching sessions. But also, you've just been continuing to just like soar and grow in all kinds of different ways. So I thought it would be helpful and fun for us to catch up a little bit, for you to tell me what's been going on, and what you've been doing lately.
Yeah, sure. 2 years, man. Lots of life happened in that time. But so just about the time when we, I think, kind of sat down and did like a big catch up last time, that was when I decided to throw my hat into the ring for the Women in Design in Boston co-chair position, and I got it. So 2 years forward, I just finished my 2-year tenure. Around the same time I changed jobs. I'm still with the same firm, but a few things changed for better. Even though it was pretty awesome already to begin with. So kind of in a quick overview. So the Women in Design chairmanship position was awesome. It was just a great opportunity. I met a lot of people and learned a lot, and felt like I contributed even more to the organization and was able to help push it in the direction we wanted to take it for a while. And then at work, so I worked for about a year in the Boston office for Stantec, and my husband matched into residency in Albany, New York, which, it's close enough that you can still come to Boston from there if you need to once in a while, but it's really too far away to be, commuting, let's say, on a daily or even weekly basis. So eventually I basically knew that I will have to move, and I was dragging my feet quite a bit. I mean, I loved Boston. I really loved the community there. I loved my office environment, all my coworkers and my team. So it was just, I was very happy for my husband, right? Like, hey, that's a big step in his career, but
Right.
I was kind of heartbroken for myself. Like, how am I going to make this work? And, it was something, it wasn't like, the feeling like, oh, as a woman, I have to give in to this. It was like, it's just a matter of fact that this is a rigid part of his career that he has no influence over. And I knew that it's going to be the case. It wasn't men versus women or something. It's just the way it was. So luckily, Stantec has an office in Albany. However, there's no landscape architect here. So I guess I give it away. I'm here in Albany, right? In the Stantec office. There's a surprise. But, surprise. So there's no landscape architect here. And I was pretty scared to even suggest to my bosses, I'm just going to work from Albany, or how is it going to work? But I kind of digested it through and figured out okay, I'm going to ask to be moved to the Albany office. I'll continue working on my project with my team. So basically it's going to be remote working, but from another Stantec office. Mm-hmm. So like I said, there's no landscape architect here. So it's a little tough in a sense, I'm flying solo here and almost establishing my own practice. So when I first moved here, I made that effort to go out to lunch with all the principals, and they're, civil mm-hmm. engineers and transportation engineers. Mm-hmm. Some of them are in sort of this interesting building group. So they're not necessarily architects, the chemical engineers. I don't know, just mm-hmm. The type of professionals that I, never really had much contact with, which in a way it's awesome. Wow, I'm just discovering this whole new thing that I was closed off from, or you get sometimes, drawings from the civil engineer and you coordinate, but you don't really work with them that closely. So this is great. So, I kind of with a lot of stress and a lot of like uneasiness, pushed myself to ask for it, ask for being moved to Albany and still stay part of the team. And so, as I was having these lunches with these people, all of a sudden they were like trying to pull me in on the proposals that they were putting together. And I was like, wow, well, maybe this Albany is not going to be that bad. Maybe this is actually, going to work out okay. And, some things didn't quite work out, and like, we didn't get the project and whatever. And some of them, they would tell me like 2 days before the proposal was due. So it was a crazy scramble trying to put together, which it's life, right? But finally, there was this bigger project that I actually found out just sort of through reading local news and things. And I was like, well, this is kind of interesting. And so I pitched it to my boss, and he's like, we should totally pursue it. So I started pursuing it with the team here in Albany, and we got shortlisted. And then I went to the interview with like the big bosses, and me. And as you can imagine, I was pretty terrified. I never went to to an interview for like a bigger project that we didn't have it, guaranteed that we're going to win it or something.
Right.
So I put my Power Navy suit on and my white shirt, and I went in, and I think I did really good. I mean, both of the principals were like, well, Barbara did a good job, and I helped prepare the proposal and everything. So like I intimately knew what I wanted this project to be. And we got it, and I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I was like, oh my God, like how did this even happen, right? And I mean, there was a lot, like we prepared well for it, and like now knowing who we were going against, like I feel like we I'll take some credit for it, but not all. Like I think we did put together a really good proposal, and we really researched well the project. So more so, I am so happy that it's not like, oh, because Stantec is so big, it muscled its way through it. I really felt comfortable and confident in this. So as I was trying to find my way in Albany and still kind of coming to Boston here and there, I was always, trying to push to become a full project manager. So I was, I'm a licensed landscape architect. And I was doing a lot of the project management things, but like tasks at work. And our company has, as every company, they have their job descriptions and certain requirements you have to fill in for different positions. So, I was always hearing like, well, we will know when you're ready. And it not always felt fully objective of at what point you can be promoted. So every 6 months, in my company, we have this like a career check-in, like a career review or career progress review thing, which I actually really like. I find it really useful to track where you're going and what your aspirations are. And so at those meetings, I would always very openly say what my goal is. And, I joke around like, well, my ultimate goal is to take over the world. But in the meantime, becoming a project manager would be a good step in that, in that direction. So, I don't know. It's kind of like at this point, I feel comfortable enough in my team and with the principals that I can joke around like this and know, like, and they know that I'm not really exactly joking. Like I am actually meaning it. So I just kind of feel the people out, but then also I leave myself this sort of door that if they really react badly to what I'm kind of putting out there, that I can always kind of laugh it off. And I don't know if this is like a woman coping mechanism or it's just my style, but in any case, like always kind of keep it light and, but if you feel like they're taking it, then you can push it even further. But if they're not taking it, you can always back out.
Okay.
So I think that was like one thing that over the last couple of years, I got better at like observing people and, with like actually some of the tools that I learned in your workshops, to be a better listener and better observer of like how people react to your things and how to start presenting your ideas and feel the crowd out and then see if you need to push further or you need to back out. And keep always like something in your back pocket that you can present. So I would always say like, well, I want to be promoted on that, and like we will know when you're ready, blah blah blah. But in the background, I always I made sure that I was checking off all these boxes on the list that they had officially, like, okay, this is what project manager has to do. Like, these are the internal trainings you have to take. These are the number of projects of certain size that you have to be working on, and this and that. On top of that, so when finally, and then, it was always kind of like the every 6 months kind of discussion. We'll know when you're ready. And I finally was like, well, I really need to sit down with my boss, and talk about this. So I had all these courses ready and everything. But in the meantime, I was barking up other trees. So I was, I went to talk to HR, just sort of, feel out the situation. But HR always talks to your bosses. Like, they know why you're there. So it was purposeful propaganda there.
Yeah.
It wasn't by accident that I was going to talk about this. And also, I became, that's normal. Like, you become friends with some of the, people who are a little bit more serious than you are. But then again, it's a matter of, feeling out who is, who can be your advocate, right? And just sort of, and it takes time. It's not, unless at least takes me time. I don't know, maybe some people are better at reading personality. But it took me, about a year to kind of feel out which associate, or senior associate is kind of more friendly or more supportive and willing to put a good word in for you. So when I knew that, then I was, and it kind of works thick with that, right? Because I will open up about some aspirations that I have, but then these senior associates, they have their own agendas and their own things that they want to push. And, so he came up, so he wanted to do this events calendar or something internal stuff. And I said, well, I'll help you out with this. I'll support, and I know who to talk to. So I arranged that for him, but then he kind of owed me. So when their conversation internally came up, we need a new project manager. Who should we promote? He suggested me. And that was 2 months before I even went to my boss to say okay, this promotion kind of needs to happen.
Yeah.
And so and beyond that, just being nice to even receptionists or whoever, just be nice to everyone, and they will have your back when the time comes. And just I don't know, be happy at work. If you're hating your work, either you have to change something about your work or you have to change a job, because otherwise you're going to be miserable no matter how many promotions or how many raises you're going to get. So in any case, so went to talk to my boss, and interesting enough was after we had a couple of rounds of discussions, actually, he finally called me up and said something along the lines, Barbara, some people we promote based on their merit, and some people we promote based on the potential. And I think you're the case of the latter, but I will go ahead and put in the request for your promotion, and we'll see if it goes through. And so I was just laughing to him, it better go through, at this point, I am so ready for this. So in a way, it was kind of fun to hear from him that, and I know, there's still things that I need to learn, but it was, in some ways, it was very rewarding to hear that he noticed how hard I was trying, and that, I was transplanted to Albany a few months ago, and I'm just making it work. And sure, there will be things that let's say standard project manager does perfectly all the time, but I'm not their standard project manager. And I have, in some ways, a unique life situation where I'm here against my will a little bit, but I'm still making it work, and all my clients are happy, and all projects are getting built, and I go to site visits, and I tag the damn trees, and they're going in the ground. So things are getting done. And on top of that, we got this awesome project here in Albany that I'm so excited about, and and making it work, and feeling like I'm contributing to the local community, and trying to build up the local design, So yeah. So it worked out.
Yeah.
That's where I am now.
I love it because, I love, first of all, some people would have heard that you're being promoted based on your potential, and they would have said, oh God, you don't have confidence in me. And instead, I think you've got a really good sense of where you stand. You're continually investing in your skills, and you also know that you can do it, right? You know that you may not always do it perfectly, but you know you can do it. And I just think that's like a super healthy attitude, because if you can do everything in your job and it, like, you know, while you're practically asleep, then maybe there's no challenge in your job, and that's not necessarily a good thing. And I also, you know, when you talk about, one of the things that I love about talking with you about your career path is when you talk about your job, when you were telling me, you know, we did a coaching session before this promotion, and when you were telling me about it, you know, I could like see in your eyes, you know, it's yes, it's like you're an ambitious career woman, like you're moving up, but also you have this kind of vision that I don't even know if you fully see yet, but I can almost see it in your eyes of, you know, of women working in leadership, right? Women working in leadership in your company, in your team. I see, you know, you're stitching together landscape architecture with civil engineering in a place that wasn't really happening before. You didn't talk about this, but one of the things that you did was a few months, I think, after moving to Albany, you were taking my profile building course, and we were looking at ways to build our profile and visibility. You decided to start a local event series in Albany called Local by Design, that would bring people together to talk about design and their projects, and, you know, show off projects they were doing, and to create a kind of central gathering place for people who care about design in Albany. Like, you're building something that's bigger than yourself, and you know, it's like it's part of why I like to do the work that I do, because I know that when I invest in individual women, oftentimes there's a spin-off effect in the world around them, because they're creating something bigger than them. And I mean, also, like, companies want that, right? It's not necessarily a really common thing to do. It's just someone who creates more value no matter where she is, even if she's cut off from, you know, the kind of base of her support. So I just want to say, like, so excited for you, and also so excited for everyone around you, because they're lucky. So yeah.
Well, thanks, Maya. You're being very kind. I mean, you know, just to add to kind of explain this local by design a little bit, it's, you know, I looked at it a little bit more like selfishly, in the sense that, at least this is the way it kind of happened. It was like, well, I don't know what's going on in Albany, and, you know, it doesn't have a space like the BSA, for example, in Boston, where, you know, it's like a central gathering place for a lot of designers. It's like, well, you know, maybe I can just like throw it out there and create this like platform for designers. And, you know, Facebook is free, so you can just do that, which is amazing. And then I dragged in this other a woman who's also a landscape architect, mostly because, like, I knew it's going to be quite like a little bit of work. So if it's two of us, then it's easier. And also, like, she knows the area a little bit better, so she can give me ideas for projects to feature in this period, and what, you know, who to invite to talk. So in a way, it was more like from a little bit of a selfish point of view, but I think it helped to raise her profile as well. I mean, she's a young mom also, like she had a kid like a little bit less than a year ago, and I think she was having a little bit of a hard time kind of inserting herself back into the workplace. And so, like, whether she wanted or not, she got dragged into it.
Yeah.
She agreed. She said, fine. And now, you know, we're founders of the Local by Design. So
love it. I love it. Cool.
So, but I mean, she's awesome. Yeah. She's super awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think this is just really, I think this is inspiring. So I'm excited to share it with my community. So thanks for being willing to catch up with me.